Imagine waking up one morning to the sound of rain. Not unusual. You've heard it 1,000 times before. The steady rhythm on the roof, the gray sky outside, puddles forming on the streets. But this time, the rain never stops. Hours pass, then days, then weeks. The world slowly realizes this is not just a passing storm. The rain has become endless, and the question is, what happens to Earth if it rains without pause for an entire year? At first, it would feel almost cozy. People love rainy days, umbrellas open, kids splash in puddles, cafes fill with the smell of wet pavement and coffee. But within the first week, the novelty wears off. Rivers swell and streets flood. Sewer systems overflow, unable to keep up with the sheer volume. By the end of the month, many cities would already be underwater. New Orleans, Venice, Amsterdam, gone first. But they wouldn't be alone for long. The science is terrifying. On average, Earth gets about 1 meter of rain in a year spread across regions. But if it rained non-stop, uniformly, the entire planet could see more than 5 meters of rainfall, enough to submerge entire towns. Low-lying areas would vanish, coastlines would creep inland, and fertile farmland would drown beneath standing water. Floodplains would become inland seas. The great rivers, the Amazon, the Nile, the Mississippi, would break their banks and flood hundreds of kilometers in every direction. And it wouldn't just be about water on the ground. The atmosphere itself would change. Constant rain means constant clouds, blocking sunlight almost completely. The world would be locked in an eerie twilight. Crops that rely on the sun, wheat, corn, rice, would fail. Plants would wither in the darkness, their roots suffocated by oversaturated soil. Global food supplies would collapse in just a few months, and billions of people would face famine. Cities would not fare better. Concrete is not designed to handle endless soaking. Buildings would weaken, bridges would collapse, underground subways would become rivers. Power plants and transformers would short-circuit, leading to rolling blackouts. Civilization would be forced to retreat to higher ground, to mountains and plateaus, but even there, survival would be tenuous. Refugee camps would stretch across hillsides as the lowlands turned into vast, muddy seas. And then comes the disease. Standing water is a breeding ground for mosquitoes and bacteria. Malaria, dengue fever, cholera, illnesses humanity thought it had under control, would surge across the globe. Hospitals would overflow, even as they themselves flooded. Medicine would be scarce, supply chains broken by the collapse of infrastructure. The constant dampness would corrode everything: cars, electronics, even homes. Rust would spread like wildfire, but nature itself would revolt in other ways. Landslides would sweep away entire villages as mountainsides grew unstable. Volcanoes, whose ash normally cools the atmosphere, would spew smoke into already heavy skies, worsening the gloom. Earthquakes might even become more common as the massive redistribution of water shifted weight across tectonic plates. And if the rain was truly global, the oceans would swell not just from rivers, but from the sheer volume of new water pouring in. Coastal megacities like Tokyo, New York, Mumbai, and Shanghai would vanish beneath the waves. After 6 months, the Earth would no longer look like the planet we know. Continents would shrink, maps would redraw themselves. The Sahara might disappear under shallow seas, and rainforests would turn into flooded jungles. Some animals would thrive: amphibians, fish, waterfowl. Others, especially land mammals, would face extinction. Humans, clinging to what little dry land remains, would find themselves in a desperate battle for survival. By the time a year has passed, Earth would be transformed. Much of the planet would be unrecognizable, an endless water world with scattered mountain islands and drowned civilizations. Humanity's great monuments, from the pyramids to skyscrapers, would lie deep underwater. The survivors would live in floating cities, rafts, or artificial platforms, scavenging what little resources remained. A new kind of civilization might emerge, one built not on land, but on endless seas. And if the rain ever stopped, recovery would not be quick. It would take decades, even centuries, for the waters to recede. By then, humanity would have adapted or perished. Earth would be forever changed, reshaped by a single year of endless rain. So, What if it rained nonstop for a year? The answer is clear. It wouldn't just be a storm. It would be the end of the world we know, and the beginning of something entirely new.